There's a ton of things you can do, and just the fact that you asked the question, what can I do to not get divorced or not be in a place where divorce is anything other than a fleeting thought when I'm angry at my spouse in the moment? And there's plenty you can do. The criticism of no-fault divorce feels to me like you're saying we should create barriers to exit. And I think there should be barriers to entry. Okay, you get a learner's permit before you're allowed to get a driver's license. You have to take a test, then you have to get your learner's permit, then you have to drive for a little while, and then you have to take a road test. That's to get a driver's license. Like, this is marriage, nothing. $20 in Nevada and Elvis will marry you.
Yeah, I mean, you say that in society we don't like to talk about the possibility of forgiveness after an affair, which is true. I'd say we even less do we like to talk about what you can do to help affair-proof your marriage.
Yeah.
You know, what you can do to sort of prevent your spouse from having an affair. Because if we talk about that, then it sounds like, well, you're victim blaming.
Right.
So I guess we've already sort of covered this, but what is it? I find having, as a married man myself, the idea of having an affair, I honestly find it mysterious. Like, and I'm sure everybody says that, but it, not only because I love my wife and I would never do that, but also, even on top of that, this is the thing that ruins everyone's life. Like, you see just what an absolute, how it just lays to waste lives.
Everyone involved.
Everybody involved.
Everyone.
And it's like, there's nothing in the world less appealing than that. And yet people do it. It's very common. So what is it that?
Well, I think that's a testament to how deep our desire for connection and romantic and sexual connection is. And I think when you talk to people that have successful marriages, the majority of the time, they still, find like time to make sure that they're exciting to each other, that they're loving to each other, that they, that they pay attention. A lot of it's about just paying attention. That talking about, what you need from each other in an honest way, having difficult conversations when you have to, neither dwelling in what's wrong in the relationship nor denying it all the time. Like, I think, look, you're married, you have 6 kids. Like, right now, you're at the stage in life where you guys are just trying to like manage this like massive, you're running a child care center together, basically. And just find in the midst of that, some affection and connection and love for each other in some way. Like, that's, again, is it sex? Is it attention? Is it compliments? Is it praise? Like, when you talk to men who are happily, successfully married, they'll very often say, like, yeah, I make a point of like telling my wife how beautiful she still is and how I would still pick her out of it. Even just now when you were describing your marriage, you're like, well, I wouldn't do that because I'm crazy about my wife and I've got a really great wife. Like, okay, well, you're already, I'm sure you tell her that.
The truth about marriage is that you and your spouse are responsible of the kind of marriage you have. Both of you, it's your responsibility to design your marriage. And also, it's your responsibility to understand the season you are in your marriage, because marriage comes or happens in seasons. There is the season of getting married. Yes, both of you, it's just the both of you right now. You just got married, you're having fun, you're doing all the whole fun stuff. You have maximum attention for each other. Like, every minute you're talking, you're hanging out, you're doing stuff together. That's that particular season. It's a fun season. It's a romantic season. It's the season where everything is exciting. But then season changes when the kids come into the equation. Now you have 1, you have 2, you have 3, you have 4, and you have to pay attention to these kids too. You have to love these kids. These kids probably will bring some level of restriction to the things that both of you can do. If you used to go on dates nights 3 times a week, you might have to drop it down to twice or once. There's just so many things that comes into it. And so many couples do not understand these seasons in their life. That's why when they're in a different season, they expect the level of attention that they got from a previous season to be seen in this season right now. And that's why most couples have issue. I'm not saying that kids should take your attention entirely away from your spouse, but it requires somebody who has an understanding to understand that, well, there's something else here that also needs priority, that we also need to care about. That means these date nights we used to go to 3 times a week, we might not have to be, we cannot do it anymore that much. So something has to reduce. Also, there's another season that could be a season where these kids leave home. It could be a season where one of the spouse falls sick. It could be a season where one of the spouse loses their job. Things changes. Life happens to us in seasons. And what do you do when you come to these seasons? You have to make adjustments. You have to look at, okay, what used to work? Is this thing going to work now? Or do we have to adjust to make sure that we accommodate what we are currently experiencing? And when you do that, and also understand that I will prioritize my spouse in all of this. I would give them my best attention that I can amongst all this. That's how you build healthy marriages. When both of you have this understanding, you can pour into each other in such a way that you enjoy your marriage so much. But then we have so many couples today who do not understand seasons in marriage. That's why when the kids come or one falls sick and they're not getting the level of amount of attention they used to get, they start feeling somehow. And now they go outside to a woman or to a man who probably doesn't have responsibility to think about, or who is probably not sick, or who probably doesn't have so much to do, and now that person is giving you maximum attention, and you feel like, well, since this person is giving me maximum attention, then they are the one. They are making me feel new. They're making me feel loved. They're making me do that. Then you destroy your marriage. I hope this makes sense. So you have to understand the season you are in. Also, some word of kindness, some appreciation, some thank yous, some lovey-dovey things like the flowers, the text message. I don't think it takes a lot to make marriage work. I might be alone in this thought, but I don't think it takes a lot. It just takes two people who are willing to talk to each other, who are willing to have this conversation, who are willing to point each other, to actually do the right thing that their marriage require, and meet each other halfway at every point in time. That's what it takes.
I'm sure, the cynical, jaded, Matt Walsh, when he's alone with his wife, is very honest about how lucky he is and how blessed he feels and how much he admires the mother she is. Like, these are all, what does it cost to do that, to say that to your spouse? And I think and what does it take for a wife, and again, I've never been a wife, but like, what does it take to make your husband feel smart or sexy? We've created these ridiculous tropes of like the wife who's like, oh, he's such an idiot, to the husband, and the husband who's like, oh, I married the most loathsome harpy ever to castrate a man. And this is somehow cute. This is somehow funny, and it's not. It's not. It's a recipe for disaster. Like, talk to married people who are happily married. And this is what I said on one of the shows I was on that caught your ire and made your show, which I was, as a fan, stoked when I was mentioned by you. But I said marriage is like the lottery. You're probably not going to win. But if you win, what you win is so good that it's worth buying a ticket. Now, you rightfully and fairly criticized that because, A, the lottery's out of my control, whereas marriage isn't out of my control. It's not completely out of my control. There's parts of it that are out of my control. And, of course, the chances of winning the lottery are infinitesimally smaller than the chances of a successful marriage. What I meant is that it's so good. It's the jackpot. Like 50% approximately of marriages end in divorce. And you've got to assume there's another at least 10, 20% that are unhappy, but staying together either for economic reasons or because of the kids. That's bad. It's bad numbers. It really is. It doesn't mean you shouldn't get married, but it's bad numbers. It means you should take this seriously. My son, who's 27, got engaged a couple of weeks ago to his longtime girlfriend, and I am cheering for them. Like, I'm glad he's getting married. I think that it is a really, really beautiful thing to do. And if it were, my parents were married for over 50 years till my mom passed away. And their lives were better for the fact that they were together and loved each other really well. But, is it, like, take it seriously. Take it really seriously. Don't think that this is just a simple thing. Like, oh yeah, we're madly in love with each other. We like each other now. We've picked each other out of the 8 billion people in the world. So all we got to do now is just sort of ride this thing and it'll be fine. No. Like, you have to be vigilant and protect this thing.
Really have to genuinely protect your marriage. That's the problem. A lot of people today, they don't protect their marriage. That's why a lot of people come today on social media and they're talking about their partner. Oh, my husband did this, he did that, he did this, my wife is doing this, and stuff like this. You are exposing your marriage to the point where it becomes so vulnerable to attacks. And also, when you go run to your parents, you run to your friends to talk to all of them about your spouse, you are exposing your marriage to attacks. You are exposing your marriage to things that will probably choke out life from it. Just imagine what you're doing, the damage you're doing. So you have to genuinely protect your marriage. And that's what he's saying. You have to care for your marriage, nurture this marriage as a baby. So I think people need to start seeing marriage as a baby that two people are coming inside to nurture, and not coming into marriage as where I get to benefit from this. If you start looking at marriage as something to nurture, something to take care of, if marriage becomes the most important thing, then you start pouring your best towards it. You start doing all you can to nurture that marriage, to protect it from everything that could harm it. think about your marriage that way. Maybe, just maybe, you will have a better marriage.
Just real quickly, and I asked this because I don't know. You mentioned the 50% divorce statistic. It seems like it's really difficult to get actual statistics on this. And is the 50% accurate from your?
Yeah, 50%. I mean, it's the reason why I'm sticky with this is that when they talk about the divorce rate being over 50%, they're including people who are married multiple times. And when you're married more than once, like second time, third time, the statistics get worse each one. So the divorce rate in subsequent marriages is higher than the divorce rate for first-time married people. So when you put all of those together in one category, it skews it upwards. But some of this is just a bunch of people really bad at marriage who keep getting married over and over. I had one guy that did 4 out of his 5 divorces and 3 of his prenups. And like, he just kept getting married, you know? And I wanted to say to him, like, I appreciate the sort of annuity that's coming with this, but you're just bad at being married. Don't be married. Like, you're not good at it, you know? But again, he kept trying. It's the triumph of faith over reason, I guess. But I think the statistics are tricky. The other problem is the people who stay married but legally separate, you know, like guy goes out for milk and never comes back, and they don't actually divorce, because the statistics are compiled based on what's called a certificate of dissolution of marriage, which is you file with the state when you finalize a divorce. There's a lot of people that even don't go about getting divorced. They just split, they just move out, and that's it. And then there's people that stay together and are pretty miserable, but they never get divorced. So the lowest that the statistic is ever quoted as being for first-time marriage failure is like 43%, which is still really bad. To put it in perspective, Toyota had a car that had like a 0.0001% of the cars. There was a problem with the brake line. They recalled all the cars. And they said it's going to cost us millions and millions of dollars, but that is too high of a risk. Like, think about even if it's 40%, that's a giant number of people with a giant amount of misery. Like, it's a really profound thing to get divorced.
I think that's, yeah, even 40% obviously is way, way, way too high. The only, the stipulation I always like to make is that, let's say the divorce rate is 40%, it doesn't follow necessarily that your individual risk of getting divorced is 40%.
Absolutely.
Because there are things that you can do that we've already talked about.
There's a ton of things you can do, and just the fact that you asked the question, what can I do to not get divorced or not be in a place where divorce is anything other than a fleeting thought when I'm angry at my spouse in the moment? And there's plenty you can do. But that's where I've had issue with some of the comments you've made publicly about no-fault divorce. Because no-fault divorce feels to me, the criticism of no-fault divorce, feels to me like you're saying we should create barriers to exit. And I think there should be barriers to entry. Because once you're in this situation where one or both of you are out, I don't know how forcing people to stay in that situation or making it more expensive or protracted to get out of the situation that you're in is helpful. But I think there is a logic to saying, hey, this causes a tremendous amount of pain the way we're doing it right now. There's like a huge fail rate on this technology of marriage, right? This legal status of marriage. So why don't we make, like, you know, with guns, people are saying, oh, we should have a waiting period of X number of days. Well, why not a waiting period about getting married? Why don't you have to take a test with this other person? Why don't you have to sit down, like, you know, as Catholic, you have to do pre-cana, you know, and you have to, and what part of pre-cana is not just talking to a priest, it's talking to married couples. It's talking to, you know, they put the men in a room with a husband, and he talks honestly about, yeah, we've been married 25 years and we're in this religious, you know, Catholic marriage, and here's how we maintain it, and here's how it's strong. You know, and the women, you know, talk to the women, and then there's, you know, the men maybe talk to the women. Like, it's a really, there's some education, premarital education. You get a learner's permit before you're allowed to get a driver's license. You have to take a test, then you have to get your learner's permit, then you have to drive for a little while, and then you have to take a road test. That's to get a driver's license. Like, this is marriage, nothing. $20 in Nevada and Elvis will marry you. And it's a legal status.
But that's true. Like for people to become surgeons, doctors, nurses, engineers, lawyers, for people to become all these things that they want to be in life, they have to go to 4 years of college to get degrees, to prepare themselves, to get to know their crafts. They probably finish and they go to practicum, they do practice, they learn the trade, they go on all different journeys to become professionals in these areas. But when it comes to marriage, people do not want to do any work because they believe that they know better than every other person in that field. So they believe that nobody should tell me anything. And the funny thing is that marriage is like one of the cheapest institutions to get into, but it's one of the hardest to get out of because we can't stop talking about what it takes to get divorced, like the financial strain that comes to it, the emotional strain that comes to it, because now you have money involved, you have kids involved, you have so many things. Your lives are so interconnected to each other that trying to separate it is so difficult. But yes, people don't take it that serious. And let me even say this, the fact that people date, because I said like, oh, maybe because we put away time to what it takes for you to actually, before you get married. But the truth is that getting ready for something is not just about time. It's about what you're doing within those time frame. Because a lot of people today are in relationships for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and they get married in 1 or 2 years, they are divorced. It's not about the time. It's what you're doing within the time. We can still apply the same logic to college education. Some people go to college and they graduate and they end up becoming terrible lawyers, doctors, and all those things. Because when they were in school, they probably cheated on the exam. They were not studying. They were not doing the necessary things they need to do to actually qualify for the trade. And then they graduate and then they can't even practice what they have gone to school to do. Some people end up not even graduating. So it's not just about the time, because we see a lot of people in relationships today, they are dating, they are going on date nights, they're having fun, they're sleeping together, they are doing everything that married people are doing. But guess what they are not doing? They are not having the necessary conversations that they are supposed to have that will help them to actually have a healthy marriage. They are not talking about finances. They're not talking about how this other one borrows, how this other one spends, what it's going to look like when they get married. They're not talking about the kids, how they're going to raise them. They're not talking about their values. They're not talking about boundaries. They're not talking about rules. They're not talking about regulations. They're not talking about how to face life. They're not talking about conflict resolution. They just fight each other. They're not improving themselves. They're not doing anything. And they think that when they get into the marriage institution that they would be any different. No. You won't be any different, because if you actually want to have a healthy marriage, you have to not just work on the marriage, you have to work on yourself. Because it's when you have self-control that you will be able to control yourself from sleeping with somebody else outside of marriage. It's when you have the ability to have conversation amicably and not take it from 0 to 100. That's when you can sit down, disagree with your spouse, and actually find a resolution. You're not coming in because you want it to benefit you, because that's what a lot of people do. They come into marriage because they want it to benefit them. They want to have every good thing. They're running a program. The woman must submit to my program. The man must do this to my program. It's all about themselves, and they are not working on themselves. They have not learned what it means to be team in a marriage. Because the funny thing about marriage is that the things you ignore when you're dating are the things that will become a problem to you when you finally get married. That's the funny thing, because the reason you thought it wasn't that big of a deal when you were dating is because there was less commitment when you were dating. Like, the commitment is not as much as it is when you get married, because when you're dating, you can actually do some things and you're like, oh, I'm out, I can't do this. You break up and you leave. But then when you get married, probably now your finances probably might be together. You have kids together. There's more connecting you. So everything they do at that point of marriage affects you greatly compared to when it was just dating. So you cannot be playing around when it comes to these things. You have to consult premarital counseling, go for marriage coaching, go for anything that gets you ready. Read books, watch videos of people talking about healthy marriages. Prepare yourself, ask yourself questions. What does it mean to be a husband? What does it mean to be a wife? How can I help this man? How can I help this woman? You have to actually prepare. Find somebody, find a counselor, find a coach who will help you to get ready, who will help you to see the problem that you probably might not see because you're in love. Because sometimes when we fall in love, so many things we don't see. There's so many things we don't see because the emotions of love clouds our judgment, and now it is what it is. Now we are in the marriage, we're in the relationship, and we are struggling. So seek out a relationship counselor, seek out a successful married couple, talk to them, ask them the questions, ask them, what is the secret? I want to know. And then you go and do the work.
What do you think should be, I was going to mention, as you already did, in the Catholic Church, that's exactly the system that's put in place. Yeah. I guess you could call it, I don't know if I'd call it a barrier to entry, but it's a longer entry. You have to walk, you have to complete, it's not so much barriers put in the way, but it's
a checklist. I mean, nothing great is ever achieved without having to struggle a little bit, right? And why not make it that, you want this thing, you want all that comes with it? like, great, you got to do a couple things. You got to learn a little bit about each other.
How do you think that could work outside of a religious institution?
I don't know. I think marriage for the majority of people is not a religious sacrament. I think for the majority of people, it's cultural. And that's the disagreement, you had with Joe Rogan, and that I think a lot of people would have when it comes to issues like same-sex marriage, is they would say, well, marriage is about a commitment, and it's about validating the legitimacy of a relationship. If someone says, oh, this is my girlfriend, it's like, well, she could have been your girlfriend for like a week. It's not serious. Whereas you say, oh, this is my wife, it's like, okay, whoa, that's his wife. Like, that's a big thing. That's a status. Even though someone's your girlfriend for 10 years or someone's your wife for 10 minutes, there may be a disparity in how well, this person or how invested in you this person is. Especially when marriage is so easy to achieve that you can just literally go anybody, and just get married. So I think, what does it look like? I don't know. It could be as simple as just encouraging people who successfully are married to, be available to or talk to or have, I don't know that you can see, in the current situation, you can't tell anybody to do anything without getting pilloried for it.
That's the truth. Like, we keep saying it, well, talk to somebody who is married, who has had a successful marriage, but you can't even do it. Like, you can do it, but when we try to make it a standard, it becomes a problem because people don't believe you should tell them what to do and what not to do. Because today, if somebody who is in a healthy marriage comes up and say, oh, this is what I do for my husband, they'll call her a pick-me. Yeah. And if the man comes and says the same thing, they'll call him also a name. Oh, you are a better man, you are all this. Because people don't want to be told what to do, but then they're still doing what they think they should do, and they're doing it all wrong. What if we just pay attention and actually listen to people who have been in these things, who have done this for a while, and listen and learn from their footsteps? We human beings, sometimes we just think we know it all. And then you go out there, you try it and test it, and you discover that it's not that easy.
So I don't really know if you put any barrier. See, I don't use barrier as a bad thing. I think that, I see a barrier as like something to be overcome. It's a hurdle, it's an obstacle, and it's something to find a way to climb past or get around. And so this is a challenge, like accept that challenge. And I just don't know that what the formula, the recipe is. I'd like to think that some of the people that are very publicly talking about the virtue of marriage, the value of marriage, like a lot of Jordan Peterson's current work, when he talks about marriage, I think is very, very well done, because he's talking about both the privilege and the challenge and the call to action and the duty and all the things that come with, marriage. And instead of we spend so much time like talking about the cake and talking about the dress, and it's just another thing for your Instagram profile. It's just another opportunity to performatively, talk about yourself. Like we've made this idea that is about joining yourself to another person so you can create life and sustain life. And we've made it about me. And I don't know, how do you do that? How do you turn something that's supposed to be so selfless into something that's even more selfish than being alone?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about this generation. We have made marriage a place where it's all about what we stand to gain. And instead of making it where we come into because we want to pour into the other person. Marriage is supposed to be a selfless institution. Marriage is supposed to be a place where you care for the other person, where you serve each other. But today we're in a generation where it's all about my program. What are you coming to give to me? How are you coming to serve me? How are you coming to take care of me? And all those kind of stuff. It's where for some people, it's a survival game. Like, yeah, let me get married so that I can survive this economy. Not necessarily because I love this man, I want to take care of this man. I love this woman, I want to take care of this woman. I want to show this woman a better life. I want to show this woman a better life. It's all about me. And that's the problem we have in dating. So I hope you've learned from this video seriously, because this is how you divorce-proof your marriage. You have to come to that point where you actually prepare so well for this marriage thing and not just go into it blindly. And also, let me say this again, find an older couple or find a relationship coach, a relationship counselor, a relationship therapist, whatever you want to call it, somebody who has been in this space for a while and understand how to make it work. and then learn, buy books, watch videos, listen to messages, anything that you can get your hands on to help you prepare for the institution of marriage, because you don't want to go into it blindly. You don't want to prepare for wedding and not the marriage, because that's what we are doing today. That's the culture today. People are looking for the most expensive wedding. They're spending $50,000 on wedding, $30,000 on wedding, $15,000 on engagement ring. People want 3 months salary for wedding engagement ring. People are just so materialistic. They want the material things, the material celebration, and they don't care about the institution itself. They don't care about preparing to actually go into marriage and give their best. So if you're watching this today, I hope that you are going to go out today, after watching this, well equipped. Go out there and seek knowledge in addition to what you've heard today, and prepare for marriage the right way. And also, let me say this, please delete every video, reprogram your algorithm, reprogram your feed to stop feeding you negativity about relationships and marriages, because that also will lead you to the path where you will actually have a failed marriage. I hope this video blessed you, and if it did, remember what you have to do, right? Just hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. Like this video, and also drop me a comment in the comments. Tell me what you've learned from this video, what stood out to you, or if you have any suggestion of a video you want me to react to or you want me to talk about, please do it to tell me, point me to the right direction, and I'll bring that video to you guys. Thank you very much for staying up to this point. See you in the next video.